Okay, so we're recording right now. And a very, very brief information about the Bond project. It's a Horizon 2020 project. The title of this project is called Bringing Organizations and Network Development to Higher Levels in the Farming Sector in Europe. It's funded by the EU, and it's a project that has been allowing us to meet over the past week in a series of webinars and workshops for the young farmers. We're going to quickly take a photo together now. So I'm going to ask Raluca to please stop sharing the screen and have a gallery view. Thank you so much, Raluca. All right, so we can go back to the presentation. Today we have Andrea Ferrante as an expert for the thematic of the webinar, of the workshop. A workshop which is going to discuss with you the issue of innovation. How can innovation and creativity be useful for the future of farming, and what kind of role young farmers play in terms of innovation. We're really happy to have Andrea switch the role a little bit from facilitator to expert, and myself and Raluca are going to support the session. Me as a facilitator and Raluca as technical support. We were supposed to have, I mean, when we did the group divisions, we were supposed to have with us several more people. We have from Montenegro, Adriana. I see her writing in the chat. She would like to greet us all and express her satisfaction that she's participating in the workshop today. She has a problem with the camera. Regardless, Adriana, we would like you to please speak a little bit, present yourself, speak a little bit about you. So if you hear us, Adriana, we're inviting you to speak, to present yourself.
Adriana is writing in the chat that she cannot hear us very well, I guess.
Well, if I have a problem, then with my connection, can somebody else also tell me if there's a problem of connectivity for me?
Or I don't think it's your problem. I think it's more the problem of Adriana. And maybe you can read what she wrote in the chat now.
Thank you, Adriana, for writing in the chat then. Well, you are saying that you're coming from a family of winemakers and wine growers. And about 10 years ago, her younger brother and herself started a family business and opened a winery. They have succeeded to combine tradition, introducing also new technologies to turn agriculture into this successful family business. And today they own 12,000 wines, a successfully family winery. And their wines, she's saying, have won several awards, gold and silver awards. They're dealing with ethno and ecotourism, and their vision is to bring as many people, young people, back to the village as possible. And in order to achieve that, she's saying that they need innovation that would make life easier for farmers and that would enable education for farmers. Well, thank you so much, Adriana, for this very kind and for the very detailed presentation. Congratulations for the work you're doing. And then we're going to ask, please, also Franjo present himself. we already know Franjo from your previous participation in the other workshops, but as we have Adriana with us for the first time, it would be really great for her to hear you as well.
Okay, hello everyone, hello Adriana, dobrodošla. And I would like to say just a few things. I'm 31 years old. I come from Croatia, island of Cres. We have a family farm back at home. It's a small scale. We are occupied with sheep, with bees, some goats, and some agriculture. Basically, that's our most of our activities. And it's not my main job. It's my, let's say, part job. And I will have the introduction after also for the today workshop, and that's all from me now.
Many thanks, Franjo. Well, I don't see other participants right now in the call. As I was saying, we have with us Raluca, my colleague from Ecoruralis, and myself providing support, and Andrea Ferrante from Schola Campesina, who will be the expert of this workshop. But of course, we, as always, have with us two colleagues from the partners organizations of the Bond Project, Katrin and Lottie, who are here with us as observers. Going then forward, the agenda of today is following the same format we had in the past week. We're going to start with a presentation that is made by one of you, by Franjo, and then we're going to have the intervention of the expert who's going to speak to us for about 20 minutes. And you're going to have afterwards the opportunity to comment, just to react to the presentation made by the expert. And then you can ask questions, you can comment, and then your interventions are going to be followed by, again, by Andrea with a second intervention and answers to your comments and your questions. And then following that, as I am the facilitator for today, I'm going to do a wrap up, and I'm going to propose to you how to structure the discussion in several, we call them clusters, but several big thematic areas, let's say. We're going to take a break, a short break of 10 minutes, and then we're going to come back and start the discussion based on the clusters, based on these pillars of discussion, and try to also come up with policy recommendations in that sense. I'm not sure we're going to take a second break, as we are not a very large number. So I think that having a conversation with you, it's not going to need such an enormous amount of time. So if we're efficient, we might be able to wrap up our webinar much faster today. Going further, as you already know, the participants also have a role. They're not just assisting and somebody else entered, and I see Carl. Carl, if you don't mind, would you please briefly present yourself, as we have a new participant today, and she would be very happy. Her name is Adriana, and she's from Montenegro, and I think she would be very happy if she would know who you are. So Carl, if you can briefly present yourself.
Hello, I am Carl. I am a poultry farmer, and I am 28 years old. I work full time on the farm. We have 22,000 broilers for meat. That's all basically. So I'm a livestock farmer, and we have some fields as well, but not that much. It's like we have 4 hectares, not more.
Thank you so much, Carl, for joining us.
Okay.
Well, we were about to clarify the roles of each participant. So as you know, you have different roles in organizing the workshop, either as note takers or rapporteurs or web browsers. The web browser is somebody that does research online. and a final, and of course the persons who do the initial introduction for everybody. So for today's session, we were supposed to go into the next slides, please. We were supposed, so Franjo is going to do the introduction for us, and it's going to be followed by, next slide, Adriana. Well, Adriana has the role of taking notes for today. So Adriana, can you please write to us in the chat if you need us to speak a bit slower, if our English is understandable enough for you. We need you to take notes. We're going to come back to you at the end of the session to give us the notes that you're taking to support us for the continuation of the process. So please let us know if everything is okay with you to have this role. And going to the next role, next slide. We have, well, normally we should have had Gent here as a rapporteur. He's going to report the results of this discussion in September, when we're going to have the final webinar of the forum. I think if we're going to the next slide, we're going to, we missed one role. Yes, the web browser, the researcher. Carl, you were supposed to make a desk research, let's say, where you would have seen, looked out, you would have looked out on the internet, anything useful for the conversation today about innovation. So we would like to remind you also that this is something you can do not only before, but also after the workshop is going to be finished. So can you please let us know if you did any research on innovation? In advance to this workshop, have you done any research? Have you prepared anything?
He did.
Yes?
Carl, unmute yourself.
Sorry, sorry, I was mute. Yes, I sent you documents by email on Youth Forum on the email.
All right. So in that case,
Document where I sent it to the other participants because they prepared the PowerPoint as well, because this morning I saw it. So are they online or no? Because no, yes, they are.
Thank you then so much, Carl. In that case, that means that my colleague Raluca took over the information from you, because she's the one that is monitoring this email address. So
yes, I send on the email. Yes, I send. I think I sent two PDFs and the link.
Wow. Well, that's wonderful. That's really great, Carl. And that's extremely useful.
I can resend them if you want. If you want to send them on another email, I can resend them right now.
My colleague Raluca certainly made sure that this information also reached the person who was supposed to do the presentation. Yes, she's confirming to me right now that everything was in order.
Yes.
Thank you then. Thank you so much, Carl. Okay, so now we're going to go. Now we're going to start with the initial presentation that our lovely Franjo prepared for us. So please, Franjo, we would like to know from you, how can young farmers work together to innovate and also to share knowledge creatively?
Okay, so hi again to everyone. I will start to share the screen. Confirm it, please. Hold on. Confirm if you can see this. Are you able to see the screen with the presentation?
Yes, yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, so if there are any troubleshooting, let me know so I can adjust the presentation. Anyway, first of all, I would like to thank Adriana from Montenegro, again from Albania, and Carl from Malta, and they were all quite very helpful, especially Carl, by sending me a bunch of PDFs, digital things, and so on. Since the presentation is only 5 minutes, it would be not possible to compress everything in those 5 minutes. So I will just say the basics, the basic lines from the materials you sent and from the web note. So the first topic, what we would like to state out is the word innovation. If you stop a random person on the road and you ask him what is innovation for you, he will say it's definitely something positive, positive progress, or definitely something that improves the quality of your life. Even if you ask yourself what is innovation for you, you will first of all think about something better. But the case is, and the wondering, is it always better? From the materials we could read in our workshop that innovation is nowadays not always better, because nobody asks themselves what is in fact innovation and for who does it make better and what are the costs of making better, and at the end is it really something better for you? Because, for example, we all have these cell phones, the smartphones, and at the end, is it really something innovative? And what are the costs to make something like that, some new smartphone or some new technology? If we speak in terms of innovation in farming, we can see with our eyes that nowadays you have a lot of technology going through the farming, new tractors, digitally covered with drones and so on. But if we speak in terms of family farms, that's not always the case that it should be used. We will see after why we think like that. Of course, in this COVID-19 crisis, the most biggest impact were on the digital innovation in farming, and of course, the digital innovations were part of a big approach and big talks on the news and in all scientific researchers. So if we move on the second slide, Carl was very useful in this area, because I'm not sure if you can see the picture on the right corner. He is also an EIP ambassador, and EIP stands for European Innovation Partnership. Basically, he's one of ambassadors for innovation, and you can see some slides from the documents here on this presentation. If you speak about digital innovations in farming, we noticed probably also in all the countries in Europe, but also in the whole world, that digital markets started to be very popular in whole world. So basically, when people were not available to go out to go to the markets, to shop something in the markets and something else, they needed to think about something else. So even in some countries, the governments decided to put online the digital market infrastructure, so everyone from the family farm can join it, depending from free or with a pay rate, and to provide to supply all the customers with different kind of products, from sheep, milk and meat and so on. So here on the up right corner, you see also there is a farmer guides to direct sale software platforms, basically an organization, NGO, that provided some information how to access these digital farms, digital markets and so on. If we move to the next slide, we will see something, a statement that it's quite popular also today: sharing is caring. It's mostly used on Facebook, but we think it's also good in agriculture, in family farming. Definitely, I won't say all the numbers here from the statistics, but family farming is a big pillar for food chains. And of course, from the statistics here, from the numbers, you see that family farms are also decreasing. The data we gather is from 2016, but we think in 2020 even more of 1/3 of the manager of this population of, let's say, management of these family farms is older. We don't see a lot of youth going in this family farming because it's quite hard and it's quite unpopular amongst the young population. If we speak about knowledge and knowledge transmission, basically the sharing is caring idea, it's the problem always about the money. So if somebody wants to have some knowledge in agriculture, the agriculture business, let's say the big corporations, they will always use the knowledge as an opportunity to increase their value, their money, their innovation, let's say, in agriculture to get more money. But we think in family farming that shouldn't be the idea of knowledge. So the knowledge should be a basic instrument how to achieve agroecological fruits, every product that you can make yourself better without using any pesticides, any herbicides, or any other chemicals that could basically influence the product itself. In this COVID-19 also era, there were a lot of online webinars who basically live streamed from the gardens, from the fields that were showing how to grow everything in your garden in the city. So this is a good example of knowledge transmission. If it was for an agricultural corporation, they would probably pay the fee to enter this webinar and to get some knowledge from it. If we get a look about the example of this materials from the Schola Campesina, there is a good also example in Italy with these bio-districts. Bio-districts are basically local powered family farms that gather together, and basically they supply their own towns or smaller areas. And that's the basic idea how to react in this crisis times, because who knows what's going to happen in this winter. Maybe it's going to be the same. If you take a look on the food supply chain for the big agriculture corporation, this is quite hard to, it's quite easy to break this big chain. But if you look on the local oriented food chain system, then it's not so easily to break that food chain. You can always get something, or the grain, the corn, the milk from a local producer if you have it there. So basically starting from the seed and knowledge up to the direct consumption, you can everything have in your local area. And since I'm quite done with this presentation, I will just have the final statement. What next? I quoted Nikola Tesla because who knows in this time during the winter, I hope not, but if we get stuck again in our four walls in the lockdown, this is a quote that maybe we should think about. Of course, in his era, being alone was quite, let's say, normal, but we are human beings, we like to socialize and everything. But still, when we are back at home sitting, since we are farmers, I think we are quite young and proactive, we always think how to improve something or invent something and so on. So every one of us has at least 10 minutes per day to think what about to improve. And that would be everything from me at the moment.
Wow.
Maybe Carl or Adriana would like to share some of thoughts after, but I leave them to them.
Thank you so much. We're going to have, of course, after the presentation of the expert, the possibility for all of you to join the conversation. We need you all to join it. And thank you so much for this extremely, hello, Adriana, very nice to see you.
Hello, I'm so glad that I can be with you all today. I have small problems with my internet because we are in rural area and always have some problem. I listen Franjo now, and he says the middle of problems. the young farmers. It is need more innovation to make easy life young farmers on village. Because of that, now we have many old farmers, not youngs, because the problem with communications and everything else.
Adriana, we're going to open the conversation with all of you. So after the presentation that was done, by Franjo, we're going to now go to Andrea, who is our expert for the day. And thank you, Franjo, one more time for all the very important points that you made, and also that for the fact that in your presentation, you're not taking for granted that anything can be innovation. Innovation has to have a positive impact. It has to have, it has to improve the quality of life. And there are many questions that we need to answer. Is it always better? What are the costs? In order to identify the real innovations that we can use and promote as being innovation, and for speaking about the new ideas that are now in practice, like digitalization of markets and the relocalization of food markets, and of course about the knowledge transmission, which is certainly the main pillar for agroecological innovation. So I'm going to invite now Andrea Ferrante, and thank you in advance for your patience. Andrea prepared for you a lovely presentation to go deeper into the how can young farmers use innovation and be at the forefront of this phenomenon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and I'm extremely happy of talking after this fantastic introduction. So I thank you all that you have prepared this introduction, because it makes my work much easier indeed. And we are on the same pace. So let's start immediately looking or something that we have always in mind. No, we think that innovation is a bit a magic word, because now if you don't find the word innovation in all the political document every 3 lines, that document is not interesting. So innovation, it's the new word where they put everything in. But as you said very well, behind this word there is a lot of things, and there are a lot of meat that we need to go a bit on deep. For example, we always think that we need more production, no? And we are always pushed, especially farmers are pushed to produce more. But let's see what are really the data. In this moment, we are already producing for 12 billion people, and we are far to be 12 billion, and most probably we will never arrive to that. Also because the new demographic studies, it's showing very well that most probably we are in a phase that we will stop our growth. So we are producing a lot more of what we need. At the same time, we are wasting, and this is a scandal, 30% of the production. Food loss and waste is something that it's very often mentioned, but in fact, nothing is happening. So we are living with this idea that we need to produce more, but we accept to waste 30% of the production. And this is extremely important, because this idea that innovation is linked to the fact that we need to produce more, it's something that we immediately need to stop to think in that way. And another things that we really need to remind ourselves, because those are official data, that family farming, so you, the one that are really doing agriculture, are feeding today the vast majority of humanity. And they sell most of their production through localized food system. And I want to open a small parenthesis. I think that we all live in this period of COVID crisis. As Franjo said us very clearly, it was clear that the international trade was in crisis, that the industrial agriculture system was affected by the crisis, but family farming never stopped. We had problem for sure sometimes in some country to access to the market because there were rules that were not really smart that stopped us to access to the market, but we were always there. And in fact, at worldwide level, there was no food crisis. We had a health crisis, but we didn't experience any food crisis. And this year, 2020, we are recording one of the best years in terms of food production ever. So although you have this giant crisis all over the world, although we are in this situation, food production is not affected. And family farming are the backbone of this food production. But at the same time, and this is the big contradiction, family farmers are becoming more poor. And the quality of life of the family farm is getting worse. And we can't afford to have, but at the same time, we have to stop migration. We cannot put more people in the urban area. Urban area is not anymore in the condition to absorb new people. So you have the contradiction that family farming are becoming more poor, but you shouldn't have more migration. And then we have the final contradiction that are the official goals that the international community has set. The Sustainable Development Goal, the Climate Change Agreement in Paris, the Biodiversity Agreement in the framework of the Convention on Biodiversity. All those things are objective that we never achieve. We are losing biodiversity. We are doing nothing to reduce the emission of climatic gas in agriculture. And indeed, we are not having less people going hungry. It's incredible that after decades and decades of policy, we are in a worse situation than before. And this year will be even more evident that hunger is not a problem of food production, because in 2020, the data will show that the people that are in food insecurity will rise dramatically. But as I said before, 2020 was one of the best, is one of the best years in terms of food production. It's not a matter of how much quantity of food is there if the people are hungry. It's a problem of justice, it's a problem of not respecting their rights, it's a problem of making people poorer. And this has to be clear when we talk about innovation, because we have to really stop with this idea that innovation is because we need to produce more. No. As Franjo said before, innovation is better quality of life. This is the innovation, better quality of life for us. So going to the next slide, let's try to understand what is our creativity. And this is an appeal, because we really need to use our creativity, because we really need to use what is important for us. And indeed, as we said before, those innovations cannot be linked to more production. We need to have less people poor. We need to have less people in the urban area poor. We need to have a better livelihood in the rural area. This is innovation. And sometimes this innovation has nothing to do with a technique that makes your field produce 100 kilos more of tomato or grape wine, because the problem is not there. It's not there, the problem. And so we need really to think when we talk about innovation, where we want to head on. And just, I want to give you an example on that. Today, and we can go to the next slide. Today, when we think to a tomato, and you have a tomato in front of you. The real value of that tomato is not the tomato itself, but is the seed that gave the plant of the tomato. It's the knowledge that it's behind that tomato. The value of that is very high. The tomato itself has a very low price on the market, even below your cost of production. But indeed, all the services around that tomato has value. So what is incredible is that the farmer are pushed only to control the tomato itself, but the seed are the seed company that are controlling them. So it means that the knowledge behind that tomato is not anymore in the farmer, it's in the hand of somebody else. And all the services that are around those tomatoes are not even controlled by the farmer. Think, for example, when you ask some subsidies, how much is the cost to have that subsidies? It's not anymore in your hand, it's in the hand of an organization, of somebody else. But or the cost of promotion, the cost of advertising. So those things are not anymore in the hand of the farmer. But those things are the things that have the real value. So what is happening that the farmer is controlling the poor tomato there, the production part, the concrete tomato, but the concrete tomato is the things that has no value. Because you are paying a lot the seed, you are paying a lot all the technological package to produce that tomato, but the tomato itself has a very low value. And then you are pushed to produce more because you are gaining the money on a things that has a very, very low value, but you are pushed to produce more because in that way, there will be more money for who get the knowledge, who has the knowledge, control the knowledge, and the services that are linked to that product. So it's a never ending, this process. So you are pushed to do more, you are pushed to be more relying on external input, even more every time, and you lose value. So you're not getting richer. So this knowledge, the knowledge is really the key elements. This is why we really underline every time that more you can control the knowledge of your process of production, more you have value in that product. Because what is really important today is the knowledge. Just think only one moment what are the most profitable company in the world. They don't own big things. They own data. Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Alibaba in China, and or Airbnb for the tourism sector. They don't own real stuff that you can touch, but they own data. And they are the most Facebook. And they are the most rich company in the world. So today the economy has pushed everything on data, and data in this sense it's knowledge. And in the farming sector, this is happening at a very fast speed, and we are not controlling that, and we can see the next. So we need to really be aware that when we don't control, we don't own this innovation process, this innovation process will lead something that it's against us because it's controlled by somebody else that has a very different agenda. And so they start to say that we need fewer farmers. But I really ask you, but if we have fewer farmers, than what we have now. Who will control the food in the future? Do we want that what is happening in the web economy will happen also for the food sector? Do we want that only 10 companies in the world will control all the food production? Fewer farmers means that in the near future, we have giant conglomerate corporations that control all the food production. Is this innovation that it's good for the humanity? Is this useful for the humanity? To lose the right to food? Because when you don't have many farmers, you are losing the right to food. Because the only one that are guaranteeing the fact that we can give enough food for everybody is the fact that we have millions of farmers. Is the fact that still now the work that is more popular in the world is producing food. More than 1 billion people are producing food for the rest of the humanity. And if we don't have more than 1 billion, but we will have 10, I assure you that that will be a big issue in that sense. So this is, but if we don't keep our knowledge, we risk to become only workers for somebody else that is giving us a technology package. So it will be the same. In principle, you will be a farmer, but in fact, you will be the worker of somebody else that is owning the knowledge, the technology package that is controlling all your value chain. And this is extremely important to assess. Next. This process is going even more fast in digitalization. This is an incredible fast process in digitalization because digitalization, it's, let's say, recent in agriculture. GPS on tractors, a new technique of seed breeding, those kind of new technology are something quite new in agriculture. If you think that our story has more than 10,000 years, those things are 1 decade, even less, is nothing. But the power of transformation of the food system is giant, And it's incredible how we think that also digitalization can really replace a farmer. It can't. Because we have something that no machine, no computer will have ever. That is our feelings, our capacity to have an interaction with our farm, with the environment that is between around us. And our capacity to put all our different senses, what we see, what we smell, what we touch. This is a capacity that is our knowledge, is the basic of our knowledge. And the idea that this can be replaced only by digitalization, it's a big mistake in terms of sustainability, of resilience in that sense. So we need to be very cautious when we think that all the solution pass through a smartphone. That doesn't mean that we will not use the smartphone, but the smartphone has to be used in a framework where we are controlling all the process. So we go on the next. So as I said before, what is becoming more and more important are the who's owning this data. because the economic value also in agriculture is starting to be the data. And I make you an example. You have a tractor with a GPS, John Deere tractor. This tractor is collecting thousands of data every single second that you are on the tractor. How deep you are plugging, what kind of tools you are using, the humidity of the soil, the temperature you are around, your technique on your field, all those data that are linked to your knowledge are going to John Deere, the owner of the tractor, and it will go in his server. It's not your data anymore. You're working for free for John Deere. Or at the same time, when they come in your field and some researcher come and collect seeds, that it's your work, because seeds is not God that we have, I mean, he helped us most probably, but it's a work that has been done by the farmer. That variety is the work of thousands of years of activities. And somebody is collecting that seed and he's asking you the characteristic of that seed. Then he brings these seeds and he goes in his laboratory and then he do gene editing. And the gene editing is the list of all the DNA that is there. It's few minutes, it's done. Plus the information that you gave to the researcher, and that's it. Your variety is lost forever. They will control it. And they will put all that in a giant data system and they will make the new seeds. They don't need even to pass through a field. They can do that all in laboratory. And those are, with the gene editing, is the new technique of the seed company. But this is quite a revolution. It's a so giant revolution that giant seed company as Monsanto, they are in big problem because they are arriving late on this new technique. And they are new actors. So even what we thought were the big player of the seed sector, like Monsanto, they are starting to be late. And even other actors are entering. So next, so data. And so we said that like that was the example of John Deere. We can go next, sorry. So this is why it's now crucial. This is why it's now crucial that we make a fight to really own our data. If we lose the control of our data, the data of our farm, we lose the control of our production. This is extremely important because there are no rules today. You know that the European Union recently has made all rules about privacy, and so in your phone, where you are opening a web, always there is something asking you, I'm allowed to send you cookies or not, no? Those are the kind of regulation, but it's nothing, really nothing about the control of your data. And this vacuum is a big problem for the farming community. And again, it's a way to protect your innovation. And there is no way to protect your innovation. No way, because everyone can take your data. So this is why we really need to think, when we think about innovation, that can be many different things. But when we come to digitalization, we think immediately that data has to be controlled in a different way. Next. So, and that it's the word that we use more and more frequently when we talk about this dematerialization. when I say that the real value of the tomato is not the tomato itself, but the data and the knowledge that are behind that tomato, this means the dematerialization of the economy. And you really need to have this in mind, because this is what is happening with us. Don't underestimate the impact of that on your food production system. Next. And indeed, when you have dematerialization, you have also concentration of the economy, no? Because this is what I said before, those big actors like Amazon are entering very fast also in the food sector. And for them, they are so big that even the big actors, I repeat, like Bayern, will be small actor in front of them. Think that Amazon is the 15, let's say, country in the world in terms of GDP. It's a giant, we are talking of giant economy. We are not talking anymore of something that we can deal with. And so this is why it's so important that we keep the control of innovation, we keep our way to preserve our data. And let's see what, there are some examples. We are doing that. This doesn't mean that we don't use digital. In the next slide, we will see 3 examples, but there are millions. I think that, Carl, I didn't saw your document, but I'm sure, Carl, that you find hundreds of examples where farmers are using digitalization to protect their data, to use the data that they collect, to improve the value of their product, and to in somehow grow with their community, because those are the data of the community. And we have 3 different examples. The first is interesting because, as we said, the knowledge is at the heart of everything. But we need also to find a way to make this knowledge between generations easy to transfer. And for example, Inside Share is a platform where you can easily organize yourself to keep the knowledge of the elder and transfer the knowledge of the elder to the young generation. And many examples there are in that sense. We need to keep our knowledge, we need to improve our knowledge, we need to share our knowledge. And this is the case, for example, of Thematic, that it's a platform in the US to build new tools for farmers, for especially smallholder, and to avoiding that this knowledge will be destroyed. Thematic is a tool where you can share your knowledge to build your tools for your farm. And you don't depend from others, but it's a sharing platform, as they call it, peer-to-peer, between them. Or l'Atelier Paysan, that it's a European experience in France, that it's also a place where you do real training. It's always linked to what we call it technology sovereignty. We need to be independent. We need to regain our knowledge in our model. This is extremely important. So just to say that you have incredible creativity. You can be alone or in community. You can do like Tesla, all alone, or with your community, because many times when we sit together, we have dinner, we have lunch, and things comes out to talking, sharing, new idea, new way of networking to go to the market, new idea to have better intercropping, new idea to deal our seeds, new idea to preserve our food, to avoid food loss and waste, new idea to give better access to our food for the community. This innovation comes from our creativity and comes from the fact that we are investing on our knowledge. This is a big, big, big change that we need to do, because we were pushed, I can say, in the last 40 years to think that farmers didn't have knowledge anymore, and we were depending from external experts, from somebody that was selling technology package. But now with digitalization, this process will be even faster and will lead, unfortunately, to a process that where we can most probably disappear as farmer. Because I cannot say that a farmer is somebody that works in a land without any knowledge. That is not a farmer. That is not a peasant. And it's not by chance that also in the Peasant Rights Declaration, there is a specific article on the right of knowledge. That is Article 25. So indeed, we recognize that it's extremely important to preserve, transfer, and innovate the knowledge. So those are the things that we really need to think. And then we can see in the next slide some proposals that we can, that are a bit summarizing what we have seen together. Let's make innovation a farmer or community-led process. As we have seen, innovation cannot be led by somebody that is external to our farm. We need to lead this process. Otherwise, who's leading the process will be also the one that will have the final benefit. So it means that it's not us. It cannot be us. Let's keep in mind that innovation is not only digital agriculture, and this is extremely important. Innovation is also how we share our knowledge. It has nothing to do with digital. It can be used also digital, but we can do a process is innovation. How to get organized between farmers. This is our emergency today. All the cooperative system, all the network system between farmers are in crisis. How can we work together to be stronger? How we can get back our value of the product? We don't need to produce more. We need to have more value. Those things are not linked, because for all our life they said, you will gain more money if you produce more. It's a fake news. It's a fake news. It's not more production, more money you gain. It's not true. So we need to talk about the value and the quality of our life. This is something that is important. And we need really to do assessment of all the innovation that they are selling to us, because we need to say clear and strong when the innovation are against us. And we have several examples in that sense. So this means that we need to have rules. We cannot give our data for free to somebody else that is privatizing the data. That is your work. That has to be stopped immediately. They cannot continue to steal your data and stock those data and use those data and privatize data and make profit with your work. And this means that we need to have, when we assess these new techniques, maybe we need to stop to use this technique before we really assess. And the gene editing is the example. Gene editing is a GMO technique. There is no different, because there is something that will never be happen in nature, and we need immediately to stop. because first of all, we have no idea of the impact of these new seeds made in this way, although is the same genes of the plant that they just move it, but we don't have any idea of the impact on the environment. And beyond that, we know that this is leading to a giant concentration of the seed production, with another important and maybe definitive loss of the control of the seed production by the farmer. So this means that we need to have a special attention to your creativity, because if we give the opportunity to you to express your creativity, there are a lot of good things that can happen for your farm and your community. But this means that we need to have public support and specific policies that support that. And I think I finish, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Andrea, for this extensive presentation.
Extensive.
And you gave us a lot to think about. You talked to us extensively about what are the implications of digitalization and data ownership, and what would actually be the purpose of innovation, what kind of social criteria we can all think about to evaluate if an innovation is actually made for positive progress or not. And what is, you're asking also the question of what is the role of young farmers in the innovation process? Is it a passive one? Are we just the users of what the big companies are giving us, or we are generators of innovation and we are agents of transfer of innovation? And then you also gave us examples of positive innovation that is coming from communities and that is controlled by communities. And all of this very complete presentation now is going to be subject for discussion for our lovely participants. So we have Adriana, Carl, and I think, yes, Carl and Franjo. And I think in the meantime, nobody else joined. So I'm opening now the question to you. How, what do you think, what kind of questions you have for Andrea? What kind of comments you have to make based on the presentation you heard?
Hello.
Adriana, please.
Yes, I have one question for Andrea. How can we protect us? How can we protect young farmer from big corporation, from big company who use our data and somebody use our ideas?
This is really an important question. Okay, please go continue.
Yes. What is the idea? How we make technology to protect the small farms, the small young farmers who started to make successful business on his family farms, and because I think that big company have monopoly and they use many ideas from young farmers, and what is idea how we can protect us?
This is again a complementary, very good question. Adriana, would you like to add anything else?
Only I want to say that we have in Montenegro two very nice platforms for small farmers. One is with name by the domestic. Other platform is very nice for me because it is one site which name is 3W Seljak.me, where the farmers can sell his product, can make some presentation of the farms, and other part of this platform is because on this platform young farmers can educate, can have information from Ministry of Agriculture for some subventions and everything else, and I think that is a good new idea, but I think that we need more. We need to protect legal farmer, because on these platforms can promote everybody, every farmer which is not good, which products are not controlled, and all farmers on same level. I think that in the future we must make the platform where we have different level for farmers who are all legal, who have a normal business, and from other who have only small interest for farming. It's all for me.
Thank you so much, and it's very encouraging to hear about your examples from Montenegro and for accessing markets, building these platforms that are supporting also the young farmers, the small young farmers. It's really great. Your questions were also well noted, Adriana. I'm going to now ask Franjo or Carl to also make their comments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, will I do first?
Yes, please.
So no questions for me, but I would like to have a personal comment. I never thought exactly about innovation, and that could be a negative perspective also included in that word. And I would also like to say that it's all about personal view and personal awareness. What is he going to do to buy a tomato, like you said, with the story, or if he even thinks about that when buying a product. I think that people are not really aware of what they are doing in this world, if they are buying a good product or they are just buying because of buying. And I say the complete awareness of people is on low level, and maybe education and raising such awareness would be a good thing in the future. That's all for me.
Very good question, very good point on education, knowledge transfer, and awareness, which is all a big cluster actually that we need to address. We have now, I think, Carl.
Yes. Yes. Can you hear?
Absolutely, we can hear you, Carl.
I agree on the point of the data costs more than the product itself. So it's like, for example, we have a high demand for local chickens, but because of traceability, many retailers can sell, for example, chickens coming from Italy and sell them under local. So the data around the chicken, actually, because you sell them as local, you will get more money. So it makes sense that you have control over the data. So in this case, traceability, if you don't have a good traceability of your product, then other people can make advantage. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Yes, indeed, traceability is very important, because in this process that is quite new for all of us, many information can get lost. And yes, traceability, knowing, going always back to the source, because the food is not made on the shelves of the stores or on the internet. It's actually in the real life, exists somewhere, and it was produced somewhere, and the final consumer needs to have this connection with the origin. Andrea, now I would ask you to please react to the comments. to the comments and questions.
Yes, here I am. Thank you very much. First of all, I start with Adriana. I think that it's all clear for us that the challenge that we have in front of us cannot be dealt by the single farmer, that it's really impossible. I mean, in front of us, we have really powerful economic structure. And if we want to go against them alone, that it's impossible, just impossible. And this is something that we really need to think, you know, because I know thousands, and when I say thousands, it's really thousands of fantastic, innovative, and with very high ethical value farmers, thousands. But then the next steps, how to put together those people, it's a catastrophe, really a catastrophe. And so we have fantastic people, but always alone. And so how can we protect our farms without our capacity to organize ourselves is really impossible, really impossible. But this is an easy answer if we don't think that innovation, from my point of view, today, the sector where we should invest more on innovation is how to work together. How can we think a new way to make association between food producers? And in those associations, if there is a role of the citizens, what is our capacity to involve the community? And I think on that we need to work much more. This is really where I see most probably our stronger weakness. If people tell me how to produce something organic, I say, okay, yes, it's difficult sometimes. Sometimes it's very easy, but it's feasible. Then you will always listen to somebody that say, okay, agroecology is impossible, we cannot feed the world, blah. But those are technical problems and we can all overcome that. I repeat, production is not an issue. But when it comes to how to work together, that is really the issue. And we are experimenting a general crisis in our society of participation because we are pushed to be individualistic. Capitalist society, it's really built on individualism. And our work in farming, as it changed a lot in the last decades, it's starting very often to be a very individual work. We don't have collective harvest as it was before, for example, no? Mechanization in that sense helps a lot, but makes things more individual. So it's a challenge. So Adriana, what I think is we really need to work is we need to think a new way to work together. So this is really our main challenge. And then you said the fantastic example on, because it's interesting that you ask how we can use technology for small farmers, young small farmers, to avoid the monopoly and to avoid the fact that the monopolistic corporation will steal the idea from young farmers. And then you share with us this interesting experience of this platform that it's promoting good activities from the farmers. But at the same time, you're saying, but this platform has a problem. Everyone can go in this platform. And I think this is again the issue. Who's owning the data that are in this platform? Who's managing that platform? And this is when I say that we need to have also in digitalization, community or farmers-led initiative. We need to have platforms that are managed by us, where the ethical value of the platform is decided by us, where the objective of the platform is decided by us. And the way we start to have communication with the rest of the community, with the institution, is decided by us and it's controlled by us. And to be very practical, the data has to be in a server that it's controlled by us, not in a Google Cloud. And this is the challenge. But those things are feasible. There is no technology problem on that. But there is a problem on decide together and make a process at community level so we can do and we can make this platform. So this is our, what we really need to work on it. And this is where I think young farmers can play a very crucial and central role, because we need to come out from this situation where rusty conflict stop new dynamics. And in that sense, it was clear for me listening to you today in the past day that there is much less rust in your word, if you can get the idea, no? Because we need a bit of freshness. We need a bit of more open mind. We need a bit of braveness in that sense. And at the same time that we are conscious of our value. And you have all that. That is the great thing. But this is, I think, this is the real thing where I see innovation. Process. Which kind of process to lead that can lead us to have a stronger organization that, for example, can better control a platform that can be our platform. Those are the things that on which we need to work more in that sense. And then I come to Franjo. This means that we cannot do that alone. In the past, I think that we had a lot. It's a kind of self-defense of the farmers. We work between us because we need to affirm our subjectivity, but at the same time, we have in this society, we need to understand that we cannot work alone. We really cannot work alone. And this means that, for example, we need to build alliance. On this digital issue, we need to build alliance with some software engineers that are like-minded people, that they have the same ethical value as us, and there are there in the society. Because if we want to raise awareness in the society, we need to build bridge with this society. And we need to think on how to build those bridges. So this is our challenge. Build alliance with other sectors of society that are not directly involved maybe in food production, but they are part of the food system. The food system is wide. There is the health, the consumption, there is the environmental protection. It's wide, the food system and nutrition. So we need to build those alliances. So it's important to start to work together, as I said before, but at the same time it's essential to build bridge to the rest of the society. And yes, Carl, I totally agree with you. But and what is the problem? That very often the data of traceability are not in our hands. That is the issue. We need that traceability becomes more and more a farmer community tool. Then that can be something that can also change the markets, change the approach of the market, change the approach of the consumers to the production and so on. But we really need to have the control. And I'm always saying there is no technology that, beside the one that are against us, we are not against the technology, but we want to own the technology, control the technology, and decide for a technology that will improve our livelihood. And that is extremely important, because when it improves our livelihood, it means that you have an holistic vision. You are not looking only at the production side. You're looking into many, many elements, because the livelihood is something much more complex. So those are the things on which we really need to start to focus when we think about innovation. And I think that is our main challenge for the future, because never, as before, we are really arrived at the crossroad. Family farmers are still the one that are guaranteeing the right to food to humanity. And this crisis, the COVID crisis, has shown that very, very well. We didn't have any food crisis because family farmers continue also in a very difficult situation to produce. But this can rapidly change if the food sector will experience an incredible process of concentration of the economy as other sector of the economy. If we will become, as the web economy sector, highly concentrated, all that will be a total disaster. So this is the crossroad in front of us, but I think that as we are so many and we are so resilient to millions of crises that we had in the past and we will experience in the future, that I'm confident that we will find a way also to deal with all that and bring back the knowledge of our production system in our hands, and in that sense, be central in the society also for the future. Thank you, and sorry if I was long in this hot Friday afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much, Andrea, for all of these elaborate answers. I hope that each and every one of you found an answer in what Andrea said to your questions, to your comments. I would like now to ask my colleague Raluca to put up, I made a document called clusters in the file that we're sharing. Where I would like to show you how we're going to structure our discussion after we come back from the break, because we're going to take a 10 minutes break that we all deserve for a coffee. But before that, I would like to just tell you briefly how we're going to divide the discussion. It's not the presentation, it's not the PowerPoint presentation, it's a document called clusters that I prepared based on your conversation, based on the presentation. It's in the file, workshop 4. It's called clusters. So please, it would be, so we're going to continue to organize our discussion in these 6 clusters. The first is about the implication of digitalization on data ownership. This was a very big topic discussed by you. It includes, it can include the following elements: data privatization, data rights, how is data collected, what is the process of appropriation of data, from whom is collected, how exactly, the issue of concentration of the economy, the fact that being privatized, this data becomes money, and then this money are concentrating in the hands of those who have the power of digitalization. And there are only a few players in the world, only a few companies who can do that. And this is a concern that was expressed. There's also the issue of dematerialization, basically transformation of all aspects of food production and all aspect of life for the farmers, transformed from real and material into dematerialized, digitalized uh, information, and what kind of consequences does that have. And then another point that I'm adding, because our conversation need to also become proposals for legislators, for governments, and for EU institutions. So what kind of obligations of the legislators we can imagine regarding data ownership? The second cluster is with regards to the purpose of innovation. What is innovation for? What do we consider good innovation? As Franjo said in his presentation, what is innovation for progress, for positive progress? And I would like us, based on what you said so far, to look at the social criteria. Yeah, what are the social criteria? What is the impact on labor, on the workers? What is the impact on the life? Are we replacing farmers with machines? The disconnection from the nature? What does this, is it a good thing? Is it a positive criteria, or is it a negative criteria? And then what is the relation of innovation with the communities? How can communities be engaged in the innovation process? Are they they play a passive role, or they can play a strong role where they are agents of transfer of knowledge in the innovation process, and then the community itself owns the innovation process. As it was expressed, I just briefly put there these elements. And then finally, how can technology be used to protect our rights, as Adriana was asking all of us. So, and then the third cluster, it's with regards to the role of farmers in the innovation process. Is the young farmer a user of technology that is made by others? Is the young farmer a generator of innovation? Is the young farmer a transfer agent? Does he transfer knowledge? Therefore, he plays an important role. And how can we protect the young farmers' ideas and data in the process? And the fourth cluster is with regards to the markets, digitalization of markets, relocalization of food markets. The fifth cluster is with regards to education, the knowledge transfer, and the public awareness, including traceability of food back to the source, so that we don't lose all of these important aspects. And finally, concrete examples of innovation for positive progress from your countries or from your communities. These are the 6 clusters. I hope we will also have the chance to discuss them if they're appropriate, if you think they're good, or if you want to replace any of them with other proposals. So right now it's 4:35 in Romania. We're going to come back in 10 minutes. So at 4, respectively 3, or maybe 5, depending on what time is in your country. We're going to come back at 45. So have a lovely coffee, everybody, and see you shortly. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Is everybody back? I see you, Franjo. So I would like to have maybe some, you can write in the chat. I would like to see your faces if you are there. Hello, back.
Hello.
In the middle of the break, we also had Gent joined us, so welcome. Gent, we would like kindly ask you to please present yourself briefly because we have a new colleague who joined us today, Adriana from Montenegro, and I think she would be happy to know who you are.
Yes. Hello. Can you
Gent,
hear me?
can you hear us? Yes,
Yes.
Adriana, I was asking Gent to, first of all, we need to see if he's there.
Yes, I'm with you.
Certainly, most definitely, I see you. We see you. But I would like to check if Gent is there, but probably he's just coming back from the break. Okay. Now having more of you, I think this is also a good time to take a picture, another picture. So if my colleague is ready, then we could take another picture as we are more. Thank you so much, Raluca. So back to the conversation. Let's try to be efficient. And I propose to you to structure the conversation into 6 topics, 6 big, vast topics. It's about first the implications of digitalization and data ownership, and then the purpose of innovation, and mostly what are the social criteria to evaluate if an innovation is really for positive progress. Third, what is the role of the young farmers in the innovation process? Fourth, about markets, digitalization of markets, relocalization of food markets, which is something we're experiencing a lot in the pandemic. And fifth, about education, knowledge transfer, and public awareness. And finally, concrete innovation, concrete examples of innovation for positive progress from you. Looking forward to hear from you. We already heard from Adriana from Montenegro, but we would like to hear more. Certainly you have, you can share more examples. So I'm just opening the floor to you.
Okay.
Let's see who is ready to contribute. We need to give more content to this topic, but first of all, I would like to hear from you if you agree of organizing the discussion like this, and if these 6 clusters are really incorporating our discussion so far. Adriana, please.
Yes. I think for the from the implication of digitalization for our products. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes, Adriana, we can hear you very well.
Yeah. Yes. I think that in Montenegro, our government and other structure in our republic do many things to protect our own products and everything, and I think that we every day doing something new to protect not only farmer. We want to protect all people, but for me more than protect products is implication of digitalization to propose innovation to promote for young farmers. It is very important. It is need bigger marketing that young farmers start to keep digitalization in his work, in his business, because of many of young farmers don't promote his business on digital technology, on digital marketing. I think that we need to do more on this step of digitalization of agriculture. Protect products is very important, but I think that it's more important to invest in knowledge of young farmers and give him the change to promote his business on many digital platforms, make new market on digital platforms, and have change to promote his products not only in his country. I think that now with the new modern platform, we can promote our product and make our business bigger and successful if we promote in all of the world. I think that Andrea says before when answering my questions, that is very important to have acknowledged. I agree with him, and I think that in the future, all people on the world must invest more in knowledge and invest in digital strategy. This pandemic of COVID-19 learned us that we must be very easy, and we must protect us, and if we want that, we must have more knowledge, and we must be very careful when we give us products, but we cannot close in our country, in our home. We must have some connection with other people, with markets, with people who need our products, and it is my things for this our work that all of us think similar of that.
Wow, yes, Adriana. Thank you so much for this wonderful comments. I think that you touched very important points here. You're also talking about the positive aspects of digitalization, yes, because we cannot be isolated, and digitalization also gives us the possibility to connect us better. For example, in this workshop, we are coming together in a digital platform, and it's very important to make the link with marketing and to make young farmers more visible. And you're saying that the COVID is showing to us this need to promote more our products, to promote more the young farmers. And you also spoke about the importance to protect the people. Yes. Underlining this a lot. Thank you so much, Adriana. And I see that we have Carl next, ready to speak.
Yes, I think it's important to mention the short supply chain, because I think it entered in the discussion, because if we're going to put something to the legislators, for example, we talked about different legislation of data protection. I think we need to write down the benefits of having family farms to the local community, because here also innovation means that if you have family farms, the environment in that area will benefit, because you have a more nice environment, the fields are worked, and so there's an impact, a positive impact on the quality of life of the surrounding area. So I think it's something that if we're going to make a draft or something, and someone is going to read it, and I think it's good to know that that these things that we are proposing maybe are beneficial to not to everyone.
Yeah, indeed, it's absolutely true. And the point you're making about the short food supply chains is extremely important. And indeed, in our proposals to legislator, this is a key concept that we can make um, to regulate the digitalization so that it's made for short food supply chains as well, and to improve the quality of life for sure, and for a benefit that is so that most of the people are able to benefit. Um, for the next intervention, I would like to ask Gent if he's ready.
Yes, yeah. Actually, I would focus more on the second question, which mainly got my attention, and it starts with, "What is the purpose of innovation?" There's a French saying that states, "Le vent se lève, il faut tenter de vivre." The wind rises, and we should try to live. By saying this, it means that without technology, we are going every day, every single day, the cities are going towards the concept of smart cities and becoming digital, becoming technological, and creating a big gap, I would say, towards the rural area or towards the outskirts of these cities. So the main purpose of innovation would, for me, directly, I would say that it is to close the gap that it is between rural areas and the cities. So to have the concept of smart city and also the smart village, in a way that we need the technology and innovation in those places. Social criteria to evaluate innovation. Well, I would say that people they rarely they rarely think or they rarely put their attention and their efforts in long terms, in long term results. We know that because being a farmer or being a rural person, we need things to we need to plant things, and then we need to get the results as early as possible. So in a short time, we're used in having short short time products, if we may say. So like this, for the technology, we need more time to harvest our seeds, to harvest our fruit. So like this, I guess it's somehow maybe connected to the fifth point, the education. So people need to be self-aware that long-term products developed by the technology, they are not bad, or they will not in a later time they will come to work, they will come to the need. And yeah, like this, Albania, I am working actually with the concept of smart villages in the main fields, which is geospatial attributes, converting them in technological and in visualization of all the geospatial attributes of the terrains. So we will have a proper map where we can do smart agriculture farmers with sensors, so we know what to do, what to plant, where to plant, who is planting what, so as to map everything and visualize everything that we can have in the mountains, so everyone has access to those products, or everyone can contribute where he can to and can take products and where he wants to. These, I guess, so much less, I guess, just to wrap it up. So the purpose of innovation is mainly decreasing the gap of cities and villages. So we have smart villages as a concept which is growing. And people should, at the fifth point at education, people should be aware that long-term products should be also included at the agenda of rural people in their everyday life.
Indeed, thank you so much. And as we know that you consider yourself a digital farmer, these are very, very good points you're making about bridging this gap that we're all facing, linking rural with urban, and making also becoming more efficient in our work, having more access to information about food production, but also uh, um, the fact that innovation gives us the opportunity to create more awareness amongst the large public and the consumers on um, how food is produced, the time that is necessary for food production, but also the very important fact that the legislators, the decision makers, need to put on their agenda this long time that is necessary for the food production. Thank you so much, Gent. And I'm going to ask now if he's ready, Franjo.
Yes. Well, it's a bit hard topic, this one, if we take on mind that we live in a capitalism society where consumption of the society is always a big reason, and everybody just wants to get a lot of money and nothing else except money. If we take a look about innovation and everybody thinks about digitalization and influence of digital aspect and the technology on how to improve something to get more money. But in my opinion, innovation can also be going back to the roots. So sometimes it's not always needed to buy a new tractor to be more innovative, to be more to increase the productivity. But you can also go back and use some technology that was older and instruments that your parents, your ancients, they had, and to be more productional, let's say so. I'm not sure if any one of you read a book named The Revolution of a Straw. It's wrote by a Japanese author, Masanobu Fukuoka. And he was also, let's say, a wise man, a scientist that that he was working in agriculture. And in Japan, at that time, a lot of technology was being introduced in agriculture and pesticides and herbicides and so on. And he came basically to the idea of natural growing, where the people just seed and take out the fruits of those plants. Basically, there was no intervention with plugging, with fertility, fertilization, and similar things. So, in my opinion, innovation can also be going really, really radically back on some methods. And just to take a note on this data ownership, I think the data ownership in nowadays in this modern era is a big issue, and I doubt we will be able to get things on our side for this data ownership. I hope I made the statements correct.
Yes, you did, absolutely. And indeed, you are absolutely right. Innovation doesn't always mean to buy something new, but also to fix what you have. And it's exactly what this new era of technology can also serve the purpose for us to exchange, to give us space of exchanges, spaces of communication to exchange how we can improve our existing tools, how we can make them better, how we can make them work. And um, I believe that as we said before, as we are not alone and we don't want to continue to work alone, together we can hopefully overcome this big problem of data ownership in the digitalization era. I would like to ask now our expert if you would like to have another intervention, another reaction, and participate in the conversation.
Yes, it's extremely inspiring, so I cannot avoid to intervene. And I want to make an example about the data ownership, because I think that is there where we will have the biggest challenge. And yes, it's difficult, but no, I don't think it's impossible, because technology is there. We have, I repeat, a lot of allied, a lot of software engineer, for example, that can support us. And I make an example. In the introduction, you talk about the bio-district. The bio-district is a community where there are 13 municipalities, and then there are the producers, the food producers, organic farm, and so on. Well, all this community has a giant amount of data already. The challenge is how to keep those data in our hands. And there is no technology problem to do that. It's much more a political will, organizational matter, funds, for sure, and so political priority. But it's not impossible. And this is extremely important. I think that we need to be more brave in the idea that it's not the end of the story. Because the end of the story is very dangerous for us, for all of us. So we have a lot of ally to avoid that this is the end of the story. And coming back on the idea that innovation, it's much more than just something new. There are systems of barter. No, you think barter is something that is crazy, but barter, it's a system that can be extremely interesting between farmers to support themselves, because most probably we don't need to buy new machines. We have to make the machine circulate between us. Or how many laboratories are around? How many processing units? A lot. Most probably they work 20 days per year. Why don't we find a way that those processing units are community-based and they work 200 days per year? So those are the innovation that we need. And what is the issue? We have a long story of collaboration. We have in Italy, we have a very long history and tradition cooperatives. But there is the problem. We need innovation in networking and working together. We can have hundreds of different models of working together. Because I know very well that in many countries, if you just say the word cooperative, people will run very fast away from you. Because unfortunately, cooperative is also linked to a past that didn't work a lot. So we need to be in that sense innovative. We have an aim. We have a purpose of our innovation, and we need to find a way to translate this purpose, this aim, in something that does work. And for sure, we can look back to our history, we can look back to our experience, but we can also find new ways to collaborate together. So I think this is the example on which we need to work more. And in that sense, I think that innovation is something that has to start from local. From local, you have a capacity to be so much innovative and then scale up this innovation, keeping the control. It's very difficult to do it in the other way around. So in that sense, I think that we can be very innovative starting from our local food system. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you so much for bringing into the discussion the social innovation, the fact that we need to organize the society differently so that the tools that we have in the society, the technology, the infrastructure that we have to serve the purpose of the communities, and really to put, to switch a little bit the priorities, to put really the local communities first and their needs and for them to really become a priority in the society. So in this line, I would like to start again a new round with you. And please give examples of innovation from your communities, or examples of innovation that you know, or examples of innovation that you are involved with, based on how the discussion is evolving. So I'm going to challenge again, starting with Adriana.
Okay.
Yes, you already gave us a wonderful example from Montenegro, but do you know more examples of concrete way of how people are getting organized using technology for positive progress?
Yes. Yes, I know not only electrons platforms. Last two year ago, in Montenegro makes many clusters from different way, from agriculture, from tourism, from wood industry and everything, and they make his website, he make the international marketing, and I think that in Montenegro doing everything with our Ministry of Agriculture, do many things and give many support to promote young farmers, young people in future. They give us many different seminars or small schools to learn about big marketing for small farmers. And I saw that many young farmers keep new innovations in his productions because they learn more, they see more. Our Ministry of Agriculture organized many visits in other countries. Now this year is everything stopped because this pandemic stopped us, but I think that we have, I think, a great future from this digital in Montenegro agriculture. But we have one problem because we are a small country, and the most of farmers are very small, and to keep or buy many modern digital machines, is it not possible because small farms haven't enough money to buy this machine, and it is not rentable to buy it, or it is I think very expensive for small farmers to use some big digital control and everything on his farm. I think that is one problem what we can keep out if we make some clusters. For example, we can, for one tractor big who have digital technology to control land, seeds and everything else, can buy 10 or more farmers and keep together. It is my idea.
Yeah, that's good. You're talking about social innovation, but also social innovation where government gets involved, and certainly this is elevating our chances to benefit from the innovation process.
Yes.
So if he's ready, I would give again the word to Carl. You can comment on anything, any of the clusters, but also if you have examples of innovation for positive progress, it could be examples that involved technology, but also social innovations.
I think about social innovations, I think we need to, for example, I am a huge fan of energy produced on farm. So I think we need to use that aspect, even considering that now the EU countries have signed the Paris Agreement, and I think we need to start, even as farmers, to look on how we are already doing a lot for the environment, but also being an example for others to generate electricity and being carbon neutral. And I think this should also go, maybe not in the next years, but we should plan it as an innovation and also an added value to the product, that we are not only producing locally, but we are also we are not emitting any CO2, and we are getting carbon neutral. So I think it makes sense. I also agree the fact that when you speak about cooperatives, especially in Malta, we only had one cooperative that worked, and it worked very well, and it's very big. It's the biggest cooperative in the agriculture sector in Malta, the sector. We only have one, so cooperatives are a bit of a problem, because when you mention them, and there still need to be good ideas of innovation and how to farmers work together, and I agree with that point as well.
Certainly, you are right, and really thank you very much for bringing into the discussion the energy and our role in being carbon in contributing to a carbon neutral society. Indeed, a farmer has a very, very complex role, not only food production and maintaining a rural area alive and in a good shape, but also the fact that we can and sometimes are already producing energy at small scale,
Yeah.
at our own scale, but we are contributing to, we have so many roles in the society, and this is a very important one. So if he's ready, Franjo or Ghent?
I may, if Anya agrees.
Ghent, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, for me, even if we use it every day, then an innovative word that we may use for the farmers is also ecotourism. We do not mention it too often, that tourism does give an innovative approach to the farmers' work and what they do and how they can promote the product. So in a way, when these times, because I come from a rural area, from in the on the mountains, in the northern Alps of Albania. So adventurous tourism, hiking, and some different kind of sports that can be done there. I'm a fan of them, and also a licensed tour guide. So, so I can see the trend that adventurous backpackers, they are coming more and more often. What we have done, me with with NGOs and other representatives, we have taken the initiative of being able to register every single hut that is found in the Alps. Hut is a small house, more like a system, a complex system of producing of an ecosystem which contains the farmer, its abilities, its skills as a hand on handmade things, creating handmade things, and also producing food and other products like milk, like meat for the animals. So in a way, we have connected all the huts in the mountains found through maps. And the adventurous backpackers, they search on the map and they can see the map online, and then they can go up to there and do tourism, but then at the same time they see the product, they sell the product, they promote the product. So this is an innovative approach that we do not always need to be the first hand or the first buyer with our approach, but we can be an intermediate link. And that's the first step. The second step is that after we have connected the huts, after the huts are connected, the villages, the farmers, they have their network of what they produce, where do they produce it. After that, there have been created some incubators, as my previous colleagues mentioned, Carl and Miss Adriana. The incubator's role is to collect the food found from the different farmers. They collect them all together and then they sell it in the name of one person, one legal person. So this way it is easier even from the legal aspect, legal point of view, so they pay less tax somehow. And they can, sell the product and they have a permanent buyer somehow. And the third link or the third stage where they tend to go is also certifying the product. So certifying what is local, it means that you add a value in the chain of local producers. So like this, these three steps we have thought, and I wanted to present them as an example of innovation. So firstly, you make all the farmers feel that they belong by giving them the possibility of making them geo-present with the technology. After that, they come together, they gather products, and through an incubator, they are able to sell many products in the market. And the third step is certifying that product. So giving value and giving importance to what is local and what does it taste like to eat something from that local farm. Yeah, this one. Thank you.
Thank you so very much again for also coming up with new. We have so many elements on the table that we will have to incorporate in this cluster. Certainly, ecotourism cluster and the crafting, two of the very important aspects of the life of farmers. And yeah, you mentioned also collective harvesting and certification, which is especially local certification, which is a very important element of marketing. I'm going to ask now Franio, please.
Hello. Yes, I can give a couple of examples of innovation. Well, I think it's innovation from our island, my island where I live. So I'm not sure, but I think in whole Europe there is a problem with wild boars. We have a big issue here on the island of Tres. The wild boars, the wild pigs, and the deers were introduced on this island in the late 80s for purpose of hunting tourism. After the fall of the former Yugoslavia Republic, this project fell down, but the deers and the wild boars remained on the island. And they spread all over the island, and they started to do a big problem in agriculture, especially in shepherding. They started to attack sheep, to kill the lamb, and we have this issue every year growing. But in 2010, a group of, let's say, 30 people started this association, non-government association on the island that include all the sheep breeders. And they organized themselves to get, let's say, to get a loan for the hunting permission for this area of the island. Well, I'm not so proud, but I'm also a hunter because I have to be. And we started, well, I joined after because I was young at that period. And we joined all together to rise the problem up to the national level. And we also try to hunt as more as we can do on the island. And last year we finished a pilot project that included the use of technology. We started this project with an institution, and we thought about using the drones, the digital ones, with thermal cameras. And the results of this, let's say, scientific research were not so bright as we thought they would be because of the temperature, but we got some predictions of the number on this area, and unfortunately, due to the technology at the moment, it's quite expensive to use that. It's not possible to use it on a daily basis. It's only possible to use it during the winter cold period because of the temperature, of course. And we have the results of that scientific research to go forward on the next level to the national institutions to provide more help in terms of regulating these wild boars, to provide more money to build the farm, the electric fence on the farms, and as association, we've done a lot of things in that terms to help our people involved in this association. Also, we started the last year a project to reuse the wool of sheep. I'm not sure if any one of you has the sheep at home, but sheep, after you share it, there is the problem of wool. Where should you dispose that wool? Before 20 years ago, there was the organized, let's say, pickup of that wool, and it was processed after in the industry to make clothes and so on. But unfortunately, or fortunately, with the synthetic materials, the wool is not anymore used as it used to be before. And we started this program last year to reuse the wool, but not only as a product to make the garments, to make the clothes, but to put it in pellets as a fertilizer. And we managed to get to Austria and to bring this sheep wool, and it was fertilized after in small dry pellets that after were used in agriculture. And it really raises up to 20% the growth of the products. So basically, we've done the innovation of reusing and also implementing, let's say, new ideas, new technology in current agricultural activities on the island. Not everyone is involved because it's just a small scale pilot project, but we hope in the next 5 years we'll try to make a bigger, let's say, a bigger shipment to Austria to fertilize it or even make something in Croatia. So technology is also something used because we, not the technology, the digital platforms, because we made the connection through internet with this Austrian, let's say, industry. And at the moment, that's everything that brings me on my mind about the innovations that are currently being active.
Wow, what an incredible example where there is cooperation between shepherds together with hunters who are using drones, and also collecting data and information and communicating this data to authorities, which afterwards help introduce wolves, which are natural predators of wild boars. And in addition to that, in order to contribute to the bigger picture, this pilot program that you're talking about to promote the use of wool, not only for garments, but also for as a fertilizer, which is truly an innovative approach, a pilot program which managed to support the increase of the wool production. And of course, you're mentioning that the promotion was made by using a digital platform. So it's incredible how it's an incredible example where people actually used the technology. They were not used by the technology. Very, very exceptional example. Thank you so much for that.
Just one thing, we don't want the wolves on the island.
You don't want the wolves on
no,
the
no.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Okay, so I think we're going to get quite close to the end with your incredible contributions. Now we have a very, very rich list of elements that we can use to transform all of this information into a final proposal that can be afterwards. As you know, the bond project, the outcome of this online forum for the young farmers has the objective to produce an outcome under the form of a public letter, public document that will be presented to European Union as a proposal for public policy coming from the young people. And our discussions on innovation were extremely complex and and rich. And we're going to, in the meantime, work. The team of the forum will work to process all of this information that you provided to us, and to present to you back in September with a proposal that will be rediscussed by you and approved by you. I would like to remind you, so the calendar included 4 thematic workshops this week. The one that is closing now was the last one on innovation and knowledge, and it's going to be followed in September by this webinar where we discuss and agree on a joint declaration of the young farmers who participated in the forum. The proposal, we already have the proposal for the date. It's 18th of September, if I'm correct. Yes. 18th of September, which is, let me see what day of the month.
Friday
again. So until we have been working on a message for all of you who participate in the forum, announcing this date, but we wanted to let you know as you are here with us.
Yes.
And I would like to ask now if maybe Raluca, who was silent for all of this workshop, she's providing us our wonderful and extremely needed technical support. If she wants to maybe add something, or if she has the possibility to add anything that I might be missing with regards to the follow-up.
I guess you can finish. Yes, okay. The recording. Well, first of all, thank you very much for joining the webinars. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I could be a good support for you to better understand the presentations delivered by the guest experts. As Ramona said, before meeting in September, you will receive today a message with the link where you can find all the background documents used in every thematic workshop, as well as the presentations delivered by guest speakers, the introductory videos, other documents that were used, and also the recordings of each workshop for you to see whenever you have time, and also be able to bring contributions to the other issues that have been discussed during the thematic workshops. So during this week, we have been discussing with you and got live, let's say, input from you. But until September, it is an open time for you to comment even further, because maybe when you come back home, some new ideas, new proposals for policies may come up. So you can send them all on the youth forum around at ecoralis.ro to us. So we'll put them together and then work together for this final declaration that will be endorsed in the concluding webinar from September. So thank you very much from my side, and for communicating with me whenever something appeared, and hopefully we will see all together in September.
Thank you so much, Raluca. Thank you for giving all of these details on how we're going to continue. And before giving the last word to our expert Andrea, if you have any final message for our dear participants, I would like to ask all of you if you have any burning issue to say right now, as this is the last workshop, and some of you participated in other workshops as well. If you have any conclusions, or if you have any final points to make, you can simply microphone. Yes.
Hello. I have to say, it was interesting, Franio, and the organization that he said, and that he is using wood donkey for pellets. I didn't ever imagine it to use it as fertilizer. So thank you for sharing the idea. So we are practicing right now the workshop. So it's innovating sharing. So thank you very much. And if you would like some help hunting the wolves, I can offer you my help as well. Very interesting. All around Europe, you find a lot of, I visited a lot of farms, and every farm has its own, it's very challenges and very particular and specific. And it's, for me, it's very interesting to join these discussions, and I learn a lot of things. Everyone has it's amazing how Europe is different from traveling like 1 hour apart, and the situation, it's completely different from the other country or other area. So it was very interesting.
Thank you, Carl. It's a pleasure to listen to you.
Maybe I will add also that we have also with us, as usual, Catherine and Lottie. Katri from Coventry University, the coordinator of the Bond project, who allowed us to have the Young Farmers for the Future online forum, as well as Lottie, together with our other colleague, Lindy, is taking care of communication. So you might see on the Facebook group, on the Bond project, continuous information about the thematic workshops and the issues that have been discussed here. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Raluca.
Their presence also.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask something? Just
Yes.
one thing.
Please, Franjo.
Is there any possibility we will meet all together in real life in some other meeting somewhere?
We really hope so. Unfortunately, not under Bond project, because the Bond project is going to end in October, November this year. But we really would like to keep in touch with all of you. And we are engaged, Eco Ruralis, and not Eco Ruralis, many of the partners of Bond, we are engaged in an alliance at European level for food sovereignty. That is including a lot of farmers organizations, consumers organizations, researchers organizations, pastoralists, fisher folks, and even indigenous people from the far east, from Siberia. So we really need more young people to engage in this alliance. We really cherish a lot the articulation of young farmers. So we will for sure keep in touch with you for activities that involve young farmers in this alliance. So that means that we do hope one day to really meet in person.
Thanks for the info.
And you have other you have some final words to share with us, final thoughts?
Well, stay positive, be negative.
Okay. Thank you, Franjo. Adriana.
It was my pleasure to be with you all today. I keep many good ideas for this workshop, and I hope that we all progress in the future from digital technology and everything else. And I hope too that we meet live soon.
Wonderful. We really hope the same, Adriana.
Thank you.
Do you have some last thoughts, Gent?
No, it's all.
Yeah. Thank you, Adriana. I'm asking Ghent now.
Okay.
What about you, Ghent?
Well, there's a wise word that says that each time we learn a new word, we reach the hand toward the traces it leaves. But there are some words that cannot be understood alone. And in this case, all the words that I have seen here, it's due to the handshake we had all together during these meetings, and that gave meaning to them, gave meaning to them in me.
It's very nice of you, Ghent. Thanks a lot. And Raluca is very kind to show us again about how we can remain in contact by using Facebook. You all have a profile that is published on the Bond project website, and you can as well find there, as she already said, all this information that we prepared for you for the workshops so far. And finally, the email address, youthforum@ecoruralis.ro, which is the communication email for you in this, with you in these discussions. So please, Andrea, have a final thought for all of us, a very wise and very nice final thought.
I just want to say that I need to thank you all. There is a small group of all the bigger group of 34 people. We more or less had everyone from the first webinar to this last one. And for us was really challenging to think a methodology that keeps a lively webinar work, because it's, I think that you all experience in the last month a lot of webinars, and sometimes, to be honest, they are very boring. So how to keep us interested in topics that are complex, that we need really to work on that, it was really challenging. But what is surprising and fantastic is your level of commitment. That was a central part of the work. I mean, because we are a community, but without your commitment, and I found this very good energy from your part, and that made those workshops that we did all together this week extremely lively and extremely interesting. And so I need really to thank you all. We have a fantastic team here, and everyone has made its giant effort. And to be honest, we really need to thank that the opportunity of this Bond project was a good opportunity to, and I'm sure, as Ramona said, that we will find a way to meet also in person one day, because it's a group so good that in somehow we need to keep in touch. And I think that we are all committed in that sense. So thank you very much for everything.
Have a lovely weekend, everybody, and thanks again. And we're going to meet back in September.
Thank you. Bye.
18th of September, don't forget.
Have a lovely summer. Bye.
Thank you. Grazie.
Goodbye. Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Yeah.